Today, I'm talking to Adam. Adam has been on Carnivore since February 2023, and in that short time, he has seen some massive results. All the way from improvements with weight loss and skin conditions through to improvements with gout. Just before we get started, guys, if you enjoyed this interview, please do me a massive favor, smash like and also subscribe. And consider supporting me by becoming a channel member. You can do this by clicking the join button under the video. Let's meet Adam. How did you find the carnivore diet?
I found the carnivore diet trying to solve a autoimmune condition, which is known as vitiligo or vitiligo, depending on how you pronounce it. It's a condition where you lack melanin in certain parts of your skin. I don't know exactly what causes it. I don't think doctors know exactly what causes it, but I had a huge spot, in my waist area, and I started a vegan diet, coincidentally, prior to more spots appearing on my arm. And at the time, I didn't know, much about, health in terms of diet and that sort of thing, and that could possibly be playing a role in this condition. So I did some research, and the first thing that popped up for me was Joe Rogan and his podcast, and that came up as a result in the search term, because I searched for vitiligo, which I thought was kind of strange, that Joe Rogan is popping up in regards to this. And then I clicked on the video, started watching it, and he starts talking about this carnivore diet. And I thought, man, this sounds kind of insane, this carnivore diet. I didn't understand it, like most people that have never heard of this. And, the standard things, you're thinking, this is crazy. There's no possible way that somebody can do this and live. They're going to have a heart attack, and, you have to have carbs and all this sort of thing. So, but I was at a point in my life that I wanted to try it just to see if it was possible to reverse this condition, because it seemed to be getting worse with me, and I didn't know how far it was going to go. Like maybe half of my face would end up, not having melanin, and I'm pretty tan person, so it would be extremely noticeable. Not that I'm vain or anything like that, but nobody wants that to happen, So that's how I came to the diet. It wasn't for weight loss or anything like that. I was already losing a little bit of weight through intermittent fasting, and started carnivore for the autoimmune stuff. And I figured I would just couple the two together and see where it went. And that's where I am today. So that's how I found it.
Okay, so and just to explore I'm actually not sure of the pronunciation either, the vitiligo a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
What has happened to that since going on carnivore?
It took maybe 3 months or so for the vitiligo to fill in, but it has actually started to reverse, and some of the melanin is coming back and actually tanning. So because my skin is, kind of a medium shade, I guess you could say, it's noticeable to see the change in a positive direction. Now it's taken longer than I would want for it to return, but any improvement at all, or at least even just stopping and not spreading, is a huge blessing in my eyes, because I had thoughts of this is going to continue to just keep going. And, I don't know, it just does something to your psyche a little bit to know that this is going on, and you don't know how to stop it, or there's no solutions or cures that you really know of.
Mm. Yeah, I've had experience with this in my family, and it's quite alarming when you notice from one day to the next that it is getting more noticeable, or the size is expanding,
Mm-hmm.
and you think, well, when is this going to stop? This is under close at the moment, but at what point is this going to end?
Right.
And like you say, you don't want this to get into your neck and half of your face and whatever, because
Hmm.
regardless, you know, how you feel about appearances and stuff like that, no one wants to be walking around with people noticing, oh, hang on, there's different shades
Hmm.
to the sides of his face. Um, so out of, I mean, and congratulations on the fact that it's getting better. That's great.
Thank
Uh,
you.
you did mention though that you tried a vegan diet.
Hmm.
Did the the vitiligo got a little bit worse? So do you think being vegan was a precursor to that getting worse? Do you think there is something with nutrition there?
Yeah, I think in hindsight, looking back and knowing everything that I know now in terms of nutrition and diet, I do believe that eating mostly vegan diet, there was some of the standard American diet, horrible foods, ice cream, things like this mixed in. But that's essentially plant based as well, just highly processed. But I was eating as much raw vegetables as I could, dumping tons and tons of spinach in our new Vitamix blender, because it pulverizes the stuff so great and it just makes it so easy to get it down. So, I thought I was really doing good, and I was doing it to help support my business partner and friend. He was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and he found this vegan protocol, if you will, that another guy healed his cancer through eating a vegan protocol, and he's still alive after 20 years, and so he just started doing that, and he had success with it. He had to go through radiation and some surgery, and the cancer's gone. And but I was doing the vegan diet in support of him, and I noticed that my condition was getting worse, and how I felt was getting worse, and the weight just kept climbing, and I don't know, the brain fog, and just feeling depressed, really, and just not that great. Uh, just kept increasing, and I didn't really tie the two together until I went on the carnivore diet, and then I was thinking so much clearly at that point, and realized that, yeah, this vegan diet was, it's almost like you're poisoning yourself, and your body doesn't know what to do with all these plant toxins and chemicals that's in them.
Can you talk a little bit about some of the other things that have improved for you on carnivore, whether it's weight loss or things related to brain fog, things like that?
Mhm. Well, brain fog for one. That's definitely, mental clarity is off the charts. Can't even describe how that feels. Um, and you don't, most people, I don't think, would even really understand that until they've actually gone on a carnivore diet, because there's certain days that, you'll feel better eating a standard diet, and then other days that you're not. But when you're carnivore, it's just like the world is lifted off of your shoulders, and you're just thinking so much more clearly, so much more. Your thought process is more connected and less disjointed, if you will. So that was one benefit amongst many. I mean, there's probably at least 20. I probably can't remember them all off the top of my head right now, but one of the big ones was plantar fasciitis. I couldn't stand for more than 30 minutes before I had to sit down because the pain was so intense. I After I would wake up, uh, it would take me probably at least 30 minutes to an hour for my foot to actually work itself to the point where I could walk around without hobbling. And this went on for almost a year. And I bought very expensive shoes, not because I wanted to, but because they claimed that they'd make you feel better when you walk. And they kind of did. Um, I had to wear a boot at night to try to stretch those tendons and stuff on the bottom of my foot, which wasn't comfortable. And really, none of that stuff really worked. So after I went carnivore, it literally started within 3 days. I started to have pain relief with the plantar fasciitis. And by the 5th day, 6th day, somewhere in that range, the pain was completely gone, completely gone. And I could wear normal shoes again and not have to wear these crazy, goofy looking shoes that, they're not the most fashionable, if you will. So that was another benefit. Let's see, obviously weight loss. So I'm down 65 pounds, which is just incredible in my opinion. I'm wearing pants that are the same size that I was when I graduated high school. And I literally thought, this is when you get to this point in your life, I'm 46, I'm almost 47. You start seeing age spots and you start seeing all this other stuff going on. And, the way the rest of society talks, this is when you're starting to check out, this is it. It's all downhill from here. So anyways, sorry, there's a fly in here. Yeah, so that's one benefit is the weight loss for sure. Adult acne. I had adult acne pretty bad. It was more under the surface, so it wasn't as visible, but it was sort of painful. And that has completely cleared up. It's completely gone. I don't have any issues with that whatsoever anymore. Arthritis. I had osteoarthritis. That's gone. Let's see. Gout pain. I had gout. That's completely gone. And probably one of the biggest ones is a traumatic brain injury that I had 6 years ago, and I lost 10% of my brain function. And it took a long time just to even, make 3, 4, 5% difference in cognitive ability and regaining balance and having vertigo issues at night and things like that. And I couldn't close my eyes. So it took a long time for that to even improve to the point where I could function normally. It probably was more than 10%, but that's what the doctor said. They just said it was, around 10% brain loss. But since I've gone on the carnivore diet, that has completely reversed itself. I feel like I'm beyond 100% now. And partially because of the mental clarity and that fog is lifted. But I have zero issues with balance. I couldn't close my eyes without falling down before. I can close my eyes and stand on one leg and jump now. There's no issues. So it's just like I never even had a brain injury. I can lay down at sleep at night and close my eyes in a dark room, and I don't have the vertigo symptoms and get super dizzy and have complications with that. So I would have nervous tics, or not really a nervous tic. It was more like a brain exhaustion from this brain injury, where I would have a tic like somebody with Tourette syndrome would have. And my head would jerk uncontrollably if it was too overloaded. So that was a little strange, and I couldn't control it. And that's completely gone now. I can literally go 18 hours a day, full stop, no breaks, and have zero issues with any of that now. It's incredible.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a long list. That's amazing. Do you mind talking a little bit about what led to the brain injury?
Sure. Well, I was on my way to a controls engineering job and doing design work, and early in the morning, maybe 6:30, something like that, and traffic was backed up on the highway. It's 3-lane highway, and you kind of go down a little slope, and traffic was backed up at the bottom of that. And so it was at a complete standstill, and there was 3 cars behind me, and there was a semi with fully loaded with a load of steel, and he didn't stop at all and completely smashed into everyone. I mean, it was so surreal. The last thing that I remember is looking in the rearview mirror, and you see this semi just barreling down. I mean, it's so surreal. It's like you can't even describe it. It was like the best movie in the world can't even come close to what this looked like. And seeing this truck come up behind everybody, and all I seen was just pieces exploding everywhere. And that was it. I blacked out after that, and I have no idea what happened until they were bringing me in the ambulance to the hospital. So fortunately, no one lost their life, but one guy did lose a limb, and the others, I don't really know what happened to them. They kind of kept everything private, and with afterwards. But yeah, that was insane.
And so were you remembered traveling to the hospital? Like, were you out of it
Mm-hmm.
for any length of time? Like, did they have to put you under or anything?
No, they didn't have to put me under. So that was kind of the interesting thing with this brain injury was when they did a scan, they didn't find anything. And it took probably before I actually noticed anything was going on, it took maybe a week before I actually even kind of noticed that things were off because I was off work and I wasn't pushing myself, I was relaxing and things like that. But as soon as I went to go back to work and try to do, the engineering work and use my brain, I couldn't do it. I mean, it was maybe an hour in and I had to leave. And that's when I went and seeked out help with doctors. And I hate going to doctors. So at least for me, it's pretty bad when you're going to the doctor. Because I can't stand going to doctors. I had bad experiences with doctors my entire life. And I'm sure there's some good ones out there. Obviously, Dr. Berry, Dr. Chafee, Dr. Baker, these guys, I call them my doctors, but yeah, so I sought out help in regards to that. And I did make a little bit of help in regards to that, but it's more of the same. This is permanent damage. It's never going to be healed. Here's some pills that'll give you a little pick me up. And it worked, for a little bit. The physical therapy did help with some of the balance issues and things like that. So, I'm not knocking physical therapy. Those people do some great work. Occupational therapists, they do great work. But man, some of these medical doctors, they got some issues.
It's just it's often kind of black and white responses to things or black and white reactions to things rather than looking at, you know, well, what's the nuance of this particular situation.
Mm-hmm.
So, that when you first went back to work and you just had to leave, was that like when you tried to think about work or a process or something like that? What was it like? Was it like an overwhelming tiredness or something, or?
Yeah, so I had alluded to those ticks before where my head would jerk. So I would go maybe, man, it was like 30 minutes, an hour, hour and a half, something like that. And I would start, my head would start jerking like that. And it literally, once I got to that point, the exhaustion was, I had to stop doing everything for that day. Like I couldn't think, I couldn't, I just couldn't do anything for the rest of the day until I slept it off, and got to the next day. So the doctor did put me on prescribed 2 hour increments with work to start with. So I could work 2 hours and then go home, and did that for a few weeks. And then I would go 4 hours and then, gradually ramp that up to 6 hours and then 8 hours. But it took at least 6 months for me to get up to the 8 hour point to where I could work a full day. And I know I had to be a huge pain in the butt to my employers, and I'm thankful and grateful that they provided that option for me. Because if I was the employer, I'd be like, oh my gosh, this is so annoying. We need somebody here all 8 hours. But So yeah, that's a situation that I was in with that.
And last question on this.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give me a timeline as far as like when this happened, how long you kind of dealt with this, and then, what's the period from starting Carnivore to you really went, okay, well, this is really changed.
Sure. So this was in 2017, February of 2017, that I had the accident, and I didn't start the carnivore diet until, I believe it was, I forget now. I mean, it's all the dates run together, but I believe it was early February that I started of 2023 that I started the carnivore diet, and I would say I was probably 94 to 96% of brain capacity, if you will. So there were still some noticeable issues with the tics and the mental exhaustion and things like that with in terms of the brain injury. So it probably took me, after I started carnivore diet, it probably took me approximately 3 months or so before I started to realize, man, I don't think I have issues, in regards to my brain like I did before, and definitely now I'm right at about 7 months in, and there's no issues whatsoever. It's whatever was there is gone. So I think Dr. Chafee's alluded to the myelin sheath that's on your nerves. Eating a high cholesterol, high fat type diet helps to rebuild those pathways in your brain. And I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. I don't know anything about that, but I know that what he's saying seems to kind of coincide with the experience that I'm having right now. So
Yeah, certainly something's going on. Yeah, I appreciate with similar kinds of improvements. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's really kind of strange that you don't really notice anything, and then you suddenly turn around to yourself one day and say, I, I'm not experiencing those problems anymore. What what's happened? When did this happen? Because it's just gradually getting better and better and better all the time.
absolutely.
Um, so you've been carnivore since about February this year.
Hmm.
Um, what is your eating like, and has your eating patterns changed over time?
Sure. So when I first started, I was doing the intermittent fasting, and I thought that I could continue to do that with the carnivore diet. I thought at first I thought maybe I need to do 3 meals a day, the standard thing, because I was just kind of shooting from the hip, didn't really know where to go with it at that point. I only watched a few Dr. Berry videos, and so I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to do. So coincidentally, because it's high fat, high high protein type of diet, I was very satiated, and it was very easy to just continue the intermittent fasting. And I wasn't trying to actually intermittent fast at that point. It just transitioned into actually doing it. So I started out with 2 meals a day, and that went well. Wasn't hungry or stressed out or anything like that. And the weight was dropping, and the health benefits were just, besides the weight loss, the other health benefits are just off the charts. The weight loss is almost like just a side effect, really. The other health benefits are where it's at, in my opinion. So, but I went from 2 meals a day to uh, 1 meal a day. So there was probably a period of 2 or 3 months where I just didn't feel that hungry, and was just doing 1 meal a day, and I was perfectly fine with that, and things are still going smooth. And then once I got down to maybe 10 pounds or so to go, or at least what I think is 10 pounds, I don't know exactly, but around that area, I started to get hungry again, and ramped it back up to 2 meals a day. And coincidentally, now I'm at a point where I'm actually hungry like right as soon as I wake up. So I have to eat as soon as I wake up. Whereas before it was I could go till 2, 3 in the afternoon before I ate. But now I have to eat as soon as I wake up, and then I eat maybe around 4 o'clock or so. So yeah, that's where I'm at now. Pretty easy.
Nice. And so when you wake up, what is that breakfast? Is that like bacon and eggs or something?
Usually it's just eggs, and I try to cook them in uh, bacon grease, just because well, for one, the taste I like it better than butter, and two, it seems to make sure that the egg I eat fried eggs like almost sunny side up, so it almost makes sure that those eggs don't stick to the pan. Where butter, I have to do more work and scrape them off of the pan a little bit to get them out. So the bacon grease helps with that. But so yeah, that's it. You know, between 6 and 8 eggs in the morning, and easy peasy.
Yeah. And then the 4 p.m. meal, is that steak?
Oh yeah, whatever
What's
steak I can get.
yeah, what's your favorite kind of steak? Do you like a
Well,
ribeye or
normally it's ribeye, but I've been eating sous vide cooked chuck steak lately, which is it's much cheaper and it's just as fatty, and the flavor is almost better. I mean, it's almost a richer flavor, but I found that they're a little tougher. So I sous vide cook them for 24 hours and take them out of the vacuum sealed package and uh, flame sear it with a flame weeder from Harbor Freight, a propane flame weeder. I just torch it, for 30 seconds on each side, and it's perfectly cooked, medium rare. It's insane. So, and it's cheap. So, aside from having to wait for 24 hours, it's there's really no downside to
you should make some food preparation videos. That would look awesome as a YouTube video, I think, with the
it.
flamethrower going.
Right. I tried to do that, but I think I need to do it at nighttime so it looks much more dramatic.
Mm. So are you living on your own at the moment? Are you living with family?
I live with my wife. I have two sons, 25 and 26, and they both have their own place. So they do their own thing, support themselves, and we get to do the, you know, just fun supportive role now.
Nice. So is your wife bought into carnivore at all?
I think mentally she has, but not so much on the practice side. But she does eat a lot more meat than she did before, because mainly I'm the one that's doing the grilling and the cooking and things like that. So
So do you just kind of like when you're cooking for both of you, would you just kind of cook up what you want and then also kind of serve that to your wife, but then add some greens or whatever on the side for your wife?
well, I'll be brutally honest here. I don't do the other cooking. So if there's like Brussels sprouts or any breads or anything like that, she's on her own for that stuff.
And she's okay with that, right? She's okay to get
So
whatever she needs.
far,
Yeah.
I haven't been kicked out of
Okay.
the house yet.
Nice. Nice. Does she notice the difference in you?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely in terms of not being a fatty anymore, for sure. And I think she definitely recognizes the energy levels and how much more I'm getting done. And I'm doing dishes now, and it's like I didn't even have the energy to do that before. So it wasn't that I didn't want to do. I mean, nobody wants to do dishes, but when you're fat and unhealthy and you just don't want to really do anything. So, but yeah, she's definitely noticed that for sure.
For you, what is the plan going forward? Do you have goals like, I want to become a gym rat and I'm gonna get big or how do you feel about the future?
So yeah, I mean, not really be a gym rat or anything like that. That's just not me. I have a lot of energy, but I don't think I want to put it in that area for sure. Now I am doing some resistance bands and some dumbbells and things like that to just to kind of do something with my energy and just make sure that I'm physically fit. I've always been a proponent of weight loss really has nothing to do with exercise or anything like that. And I definitely would not suggest people that are obese or severely obese to get out there and start, sweating to the oldies, and doing all these crazy jumping jacks and just, high impact stuff like that. Your body's not meant to carry all that weight. I don't care what anybody says. It's just not supposed to be there. And your joints are not designed to carry that kind of a load and be under that kind of stress. So I would implore people to work on losing the weight first, work on what goes into your mouth first, and work on the weight loss. And then over time, start mixing in, some resistance training and stuff like that. But yeah, I have no desire to be a gym rat. I'm too lazy to go to the gym.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. But I mean, I, I would, I mean, you've got more energy now, so it's probably not laziness. It's probably like you just want to expend that energy in different places, right?
Right. Yep.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yep.
yeah. Um, so you mentioned you mentioned how old you are before. So
Hmm.
46, right? Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we're close to the same age. I'm 48, and
Nice.
one of the things that I feel is, you know, I agree with what you said. You feel like, well, this is the end now. I'm going downhill. You go to the doctor and they say, well, that's just part of getting old and that
Right.
kind of thing. But I feel in the last 14 months, um, it's almost like I've got this new lease on life. I'm not thinking that oh, I'm old now. I'm not thinking that in 10 years I'm going to be 58. I'm
Hmm.
feeling like I'm in a position now to kind of almost live as long as I want. And I'm going to focus on the goals that I've got now. How do you feel about that?
I could not agree more. I feel better now overall than I did in my 20s. There's without a doubt. I feel like, obviously I've got some issues with, I've got a couple discs in my back that aren't as great as they were before just because of stupid decisions that I've done. But I feel like there's no concern in terms of aging. Like I feel like I've reversed the aging process, and I've stopped this gradual poisoning of myself and decline by eating these horrible, horrible processed foods and plants and things like that. So I feel exactly the same as you. I feel like I'm kind of like at a default state now where human is supposed to be, and it's just going to stay this way, indefinitely. I don't feel like I'm getting any older whatsoever. I just feel like I'm supposed to feel. It's hard to describe.
Mm. The only thing that I've been able to describe it as simply is like you're always in this constant um state of thinking, okay, what's next? Like literally, what's next on my to-do list? It's like
Right.
I'm ready for the next thing.
Right.
Um, but yeah, it's a great feeling. So, and in that vein,
Hmm.
when you're out and about and you can see people around you that are clearly suffering,
Hmm.
um, does that does that give you a feeling like, I mean, it's not, I know it's not practical to do this, but does that give you a feeling like you just want to go up and talk to each of these people and say, look, I can help you?
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. It's like,
Mm,
and I think it's probably, this is probably bad to say this, but part of it is a little bit of selfishness or ego, I guess you could say, is, I have this solution and I can give it to you, or at least bring some answers to you. But it's probably, 90% that compassion for this person because you were there, and you understand what they're going through, and you fully understand that eating this way is going to solve at least 90% of their problems. It's just, and it's so simple. Just instead of shopping in this section of the store, go over to this section of the store and eat that stuff. It just blows my mind that this stuff is, this information has really been out there for a long time, and it's just now being popularized. And that answer is so simple to unlocking their health. It's just, it blows my mind every time I think about it.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there when you said it's so simple. Because I look around me and I feel like these people, they're in such a bad way, and the answer is so simple, but then they're going to go home and they're going to be watching the news tonight or their favorite TV show or whatever, and they're going to be hit with so many marketing messages, and each of the, in total, they're going to be thinking, well, I've maybe got two other options now that I can think about to get my blood pressure under control or get my diabetes under control or whatever. Not realizing that all you've got to do is change what you're eating.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. I literally just got into, not really an argument, because I don't do that sort of thing. I don't like having that sort of vibe and energy, especially in public or on the internet. Now, occasionally, my wife and I will have a disagreement, and that's probably code for argument. But this person was seeking help for they had cancer of the throat, and they were looking for a dentist. And I'm like, they were looking for suggestions for a dentist in this Facebook group that I created for our community. And I said, I'm sorry that this is happening to you. I don't have a recommendation for a dentist, but I do know that cancers typically feed on sugar. So if you haven't considered going to a zero carbohydrate diet, no sugars and no carbs, that may be something that could help you. It looks like you're on the better side of things, but maybe potentially look at that. And I didn't even mention carnivore diet at all. And then it's like a pack of wolves start coming in on me. Oh, you can't do that. You got to have carbs. You got to have a well-balanced meal. You got to have your veggies. It's okay if you want to go, low carb. But you gotta be well balanced to get your vitamins and your minerals and all that sort of thing, and you're gonna have a heart attack and all this stuff. And I'm like, yes, the last 7 months I've only ate red meat, and I should be dead by now, I guess. It's just crazy the way that, I thought that way too. So it's just strange seeing it on the other side.
You mentioned that they kind of say, oh, maybe if you want to go low carb, that's okay, right? But you need your vitamins and minerals. But then if you rewind 20 years, the reaction to low carb would be the reaction to carnivore now.
Right.
Right.
That's
so
true.
20 years ago, they would have been like, you can't do that. You need your bread and your pasta and your rice.
Right.
So hopefully times do change. Hopefully, that's a look into the future, hopefully.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I love about you, Dave. You're always thinking outside the box, and you get those good analogies. I love it.
Yeah. So where do you think this is going? Because there's a big there's of course a big plant-based push, a big fake meats kind of push, that kind of thing, despite it not doing all that well at the moment. But where are we going to be in 10, 20 years time?
Well, if it has anything to do with me and guys like you and other people in this community, we're gonna overrun this vegan movement just by way of example. We don't even have to shout from the rooftop. When they see all of us shrinking and just doing all kinds of, really good stuff for humanity in general. We're lifting all boats, and our family members and our friends and just even complete strangers. I really honestly believe that we're going to make a huge impact for society, which is one of the reasons why I had to help carry out at Homestead Howell with the Carnivore Diet documentary. I'm like, I have to get involved in this some way because I see his vision. He wants to get it on to streaming networks and get it in front of millions of people, not just people on YouTube. And yeah, I mean, that's just, I believe that it's going to bless so many people. It's just going to make such a huge impact. And it's not just him, and it's not just us as a team doing that. It's everybody, everybody in this community is contributing to this in some way or another, whether they even know it. So yeah, I fully believe this farce that is veganism and plant-based this and that, and these chemical soups that they're trying to push on everybody is just, it's going to fall by the wayside. People aren't stupid. They may have brain fog and an addiction to sugar, but the proof is in the pudding, So when they see us thriving and kicking ass, they're gonna come to the light, if you will. So
Actually, you made the last couple of things you've said, you made some really good points that I want to kind of bring together
mhm.
with another question. So you talked about someone who had throat cancer. So that made me think
Mhm.
about just hearing cancer. That one of the things I thought about with that was smoking.
Mhm.
Um, and so if you contrast the tobacco industry with the sugar industry or the sugar association or whatever, um, the government has gone really hard on the tobacco industry, despite how much money the revenue the government makes from the tobacco industry in taxes and stuff like that.
Mhm.
The government really literally compromised themselves, right? Because they've done everything they can with the tobacco industry to reduce the sales and put
Mhm.
warnings on there for people because I guess they understood that the money that they're going to make from tobacco is offset by the amount they're going to spend in healthcare costs.
Mhm.
Um, and so they went, okay, well, on balance, we have to do something about the tobacco industry. I would say I would guess it's probably the same or worse related to sugar. Why don't they go harder on sugar?
Probably because they like it. They like eating sugar. So and plus, it's hard to really put your finger on, what the motivations are for this stuff, um, in terms of the government. It's its own beast. It's its own animal, if you will. I mean, even Black's Law Dictionary even defines government as a person, its own entity. So, which is very strange. But tobacco, to your point, is a plant, just like sugar is. So, why they say one is bad and one isn't, I can't pinpoint that. But there is something to be said for, if you make something bad, people want it. If you make it illegal, people really want it. And obviously with just a certain demographic. And then I think that the other ones that don't go that route with smoking or drugs, they go to sugar. Hey, this is the legal solution to an addiction, right?
Yeah. And that was certainly my case,
Mm-hmm.
it was my legal addiction for many, 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 many years.
Right.
Um, so Adam, you have a YouTube channel. Could you talk a little bit about your channel?
Sure. YouTube channel is called Carnivore Today, and it's at Carnivore Today on YouTube, obviously. So I started a channel. Obviously, I needed to do something with all this energy, and the profound benefits that I've had with this diet, I have to share it. So because I can't walk up to people in the grocery store and say, hey, eat those steaks over there, stop eating those diabetes pills from over here. You know, I can't say that in the store. So if I can put this out into the ether, if you will, and possibly, you know, help somebody, you know, they happen upon one of my videos or something like that. Uh, and you know, they see it and they're exposed to the carnivore diet through me. Not saying that, you know, I'm some big shot or anything like that, but certain people just respond to different channels and different people in different ways, and we all have our own way of helping somebody that another person can't. So just trying to do, you know, my small part. Do kind of have a big vision with the channel. Eventually, I want to get to every day producing content. Right now, it's just too much of a load and learning how to do YouTube. So I'll gradually ramp that up as I have time with work and things like that. But I definitely want it to be a really quality resource for people to be able to connect with this lifestyle and heal themselves. You know, I don't want it to be because of me or anything like that. I just want to reveal to them in my way, you know, how they can heal themselves, and they have the power within themselves. And to be honest with you, I don't think that the power is really within themselves. Our bodies just do it. You know, we don't have to tell our bodies to breathe. We don't have to tell our body to pump blood. You know, as long as you're giving it the right fuel, it knows what to do. So yeah, that's kind of my vision with the channel, is just to help people out. And we're doing Keto Cookout Live on Tuesdays as kind of a sort of a comic relief and a hangout for people to pop in and pop out at the cookout and just have fun and not be so serious, you know, like the doctors are a lot of the times. Which they, you know, they have a place, and I think they need to really do that sort of thing and provide that service, because it helped me immensely and helped me to get started and get on the right path. So
yeah, I think it's really important. Things like that keto cookout is really important, you know, because it's a more lighthearted way, and for people that, you know, maybe they just don't like listening to doctors, anything that sounds technical is just off-putting, that kind of thing. Getting the message across in a more fun way is very effective, right?
right, that's definitely what we're trying to do, is make it more kind of a blend of entertainment and Q&A and things like that, and just, you know, just hanging out, you know, try to provide something different from the garbage that's on the television. And also help them out, you know. So
well, thank you so much for spending time with us today, Adam. I really appreciate it.
absolutely, Dave, anytime.
Guys, thanks for watching. Please don't forget to click like and subscribe, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video.